Welcome to Embracing Infinity, exploring the infinite oneness in the space of love and truth. Host Jennifer Rose is an international spiritual medium, healer, channeler, mentor, and transformational guide. Her focus is encouraging individuals to know themselves within the lens of their divine heart and highest potential, to evolve within the frequency of love and peaceful harmony. Now, here's your host, Jennifer Rose.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Embracing Infinity. Happy Halloween almost. We have a special show for you here today, and I've got the wonderful and glorious Miss Suri Sawyer joining me here today. Yay! Hi, Suri.
Hi, Jennifer Rose. So good to be here.
How are you doing, beautiful?
I am doing very well. I'm enjoying. I just moved into my new house. You can see my new landscape here. And really thrilled about the topic that we have today. I've been doing my own personal research the last couple of days so that I would feel mentally prepared.
I couldn't think of anyone better for this than you, so I'm excited because we've been trying to plan this for a couple of months, and so everybody, like I had this and hello everybody, I had this thought, of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, and what if all these characters were just parts of her mind versus just like a dream that she was in, kind of thing too, and so that kind of sparked our putting this show together. So it should be really fun, but also enlightening, illuminating, and help you understand yourself better too, everybody too. Really quick before we get started, thank you all for joining us here today on our special show. Thank you all for being here. We'll come and say hi to everybody in just a second. We do have the Psychic Hour at 2:30 Pacific, which is 9:30 in the UK. We're 7 hours difference from Pacific time in UK because of the time difference, because you guys in the UK had your time change on last Sunday and ours is next Sunday. So we're 1 hour off for just this week only. So the Psychic Hour is coming up. And then on Friday at my usual time, Pacific time, but we'll be 1 hour earlier in the UK, 7 p.m. UK. I've got Judith Miller coming on for a Halloween show, and we're actually doing a physical mediumship demonstration. She's a physical medium. She's phenomenal, literally. And so you may get to experience something with a loved one holding your hand or moving your hand during that show too. So it's a really special show that we've got planned. And a whole bunch of other things lined up this week too. Grace Grella is going to be on as well. So there's just a load of marvelous shows coming up this week. But we're looking forward to Halloween, and we thought this was a good week to do this show for all of you here today. So should we say quick hellos to everybody, Suri?
Yes, let's say some quick
why don't you start?
Well, first I want to say hi, Kim Princess. It's good to see you. I'm curious how you're feeling after your ancestral emotional release yesterday. What's up, Jennifer McCormick? Oh, and hey, Kelly Brickle and Michael Christopher. Take it away, Jennifer Rose.
Everybody's here. I saw Jeffrey is here with us too. There's Jeffrey. Hi, Jeffrey. Thank you for being here today. And Miss Lynn Juno is here today. Great show earlier. She was on fire with her flower readings over on Kirsty Ashton's live. So that was amazing too. Jennifer McCormick is here as well. Michael Christopher, Kim Princess, Amanda too. I want to say hi to Amanda. Thank you all for joining us. So I hope you're ready to have some fun, everybody. Yes? Are we ready to have some fun too? So let me read your bio really quick, Suri. So I think we all know you, but just in case, and it never hurts to have a refresher of how amazing you are, right? So, okay, my darlings, Suri Sawyer is a gifted psychic healer, Reiki practitioner, and teacher with a focus on ancestral healing and death-wise consciousness. The foundation of her practice is based in the 7 universal laws, motivated by a profound passion to support individuals to rediscover their inner essence and achieve healing on multiple levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Suri channels her abilities and knowledge through energy healing sessions, spiritual alchemy journeys, and immersive sound and sacred plant medicine ceremonies. And you can learn more about Suri at womanbealive.com. And she is on Facebook at Suri Sawyer and on Instagram at Woman Be Alive. So definitely please give her a follow and check her out. She's offering a lot of amazing programs. And you are very familiar with the archetypes. And so this is why we can have this beautiful discussion on Dorothy all things Dorothy. And even though we have all these other characters, they're also all things Dorothy in the amazing landscape of her mind of Oz too. And so it's kind of nice to be in a space where we can like look at it from that perspective. But I think also, Suri, that will help everybody who's watching to think of their own minds and all of the different parts of it, and then how the journey, she's on the hero's journey. We know from literary analysis she's on the hero's journey. She's the protagonist. She goes through a profound transformation, but there's so much more.
Yes, 100%. There's so much more. I love this idea. It's a Jungian idea, and not just from Carl Jung, but in all of your dreams, every character in all of your dreams is a representation of some part of your psyche. And if we consider after she hits her head in the storm, she's in a dream state. And so then every character you see after that is some aspect of her own psyche playing itself out. And we have her immature or underdeveloped masculine, the animus. And then you see representations of the anima, which is the feminine, which is the Glenda, the good witch, the good mother, the goddess, and then the dark goddess or the dark mother or the evil stepmother that comes up in a lot of literary text. So we're going to break it apart as if once the dream starts in The Wizard of Oz, you've just entered the complex dynamic of Dorothy's psyche.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Hi, KB. Hello. Okay. So from an archetypal perspective, when I look at Dorothy, I know she's the protagonist, but I also know she's an innocent. She literally is an orphan. So not only is she an archetypal orphan, but she literally is an orphan. I think we maybe overlook that part of it too. And so this sort of lack of belonging to her place and everybody thinking she's a problem. They tell her she's not smart enough, she's not courageous enough, she's not compassionate enough, she's a problem, she's in the way. And of course, they don't mean all of this, but this is kind of what she gets when she's trying to ask for help. Because the lady who, the mean lady is after her dog, which is her only sense of like comfort and support. So I can see how the dog being taken away would spark such anxiety and then this thing of needing to kind of run away. So she's out there like looking for adventure, but she's also kind of like running away from her problems because it's so, in her mind, is so intense.
Right. I do feel Dorothy embodies both the orphan and the innocent, which they're really kind of one and the same. In fact, they're two sides of the same coin. So she's in her innocent until something tragic or traumatic happens, which then catapults you into the orphan victimized state. And then that is the initiation of her hero's journey, because the innocent isn't going to take that journey. The innocent's super happy to just be where they are and feel good and feel happy and just be in bliss. And it's the initiation period, the initiation process of the dog being threatened and then Auntie M just kind of resigning to give the dog away. Her hands are tied. She can't do anything. And so this is the initiation moment in the movie, which catapults her even further into the orphan archetype, which takes her in her grief into the hero's journey or the explorer archetype. Oh, I cannot hear you.
Sorry, I think I muted myself by accident. Hi, everybody. Hi, K-Weezy. Hi, Michael Christopher. So when she starts that, before she hits her head and goes into the cyclone, which reminds me very much of Kundalini, when I see this house spinning around like that, I'm like, oh, that's the house of her mind. And there she goes. But she goes and she meets the traveling psychic man, right? And so
Yes.
He's very much like the magician, the trickster, but he's actually trying to help her because he realizes she needs to go home. So even though he's kind of a charlatan, by sneaking up, her into her basket while her eyes are closed, so then he can look in his fake crystal ball and all of this stuff too. He actually is trying to like get her home. So he kind of tricks her so that she will actually go home. But then it's almost like it's too late. Like the process has already started, and then there's the cyclone, and then now we end up in the land of Oz. and all the characters have become part of her mind.
Yeah. And I think it's important that character, the basically the snake oil salesman, the psychic, he's the perfect trickster. I like the role that he plays, not just as that magician archetype at the beginning, but then also how he shows up at the end. He is consistent trickster and dark magician the entire way through. And what I think is fascinating about his role is that he's the catalyst twice for her coming into a deeper level of sovereignty. So one of the things I think is fascinating is that it's not a positive thing to be tricked. It's not a positive thing to be duped or hoodwinked. But each time she is hoodwinked, something good develops from it, and she somehow gains more autonomy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And because he ends up being the wizard behind the curtain, and he initiates the test. Like, she has to go get the broomstick, and travel in order for him to help her, right? And he's also like the doorman, and he's like playing these kind of like multiple characters, and all making it a little difficult, but he doesn't make it impossible. But in the end, he it seems like he is trying to help her, if that makes sense. So it's like, I don't see him actually causing her any harm. I see him trying to actually help her,
right,
in his own weird kind of way.
Yes. Through his own weird distortion of reality. Yeah, for sure. Well, let's go on an exploration of the other characters. Are you down?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the first one that we meet once we get to Oz is Glenda, the good witch.
Yes.
And the fairy godmother role, the benevolent one, the loving one, the caring one, the guiding force. And with that, I also want to throw this out there. There's a theory that Glenda is actually the evil one in the movie.
Ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Shall we? Well, I'm gonna just throw some things out there, and then you can decide.
I have an idea where you might be going, because they're celebrating killing somebody.
There's that. Okay, so Dorothy gets to the land of Oz, and once she gets the shoes, in that moment, she already has the power to go home, but Glenda doesn't tell her that.
True.
And so, right? And then she puts Dorothy in these positions where there's an argument now between the Wicked Witch of the West and Dorothy. And the only reason that there is because Glenda gave Dorothy her shoes. So that was actually Glenda's doing, not Dorothy's doing. And then it's as if Glenda sent Dorothy out on that mission to kill her nemesis.
Oh, the other witch.
For her. And then at the end, she reveals that she could have gone home the whole time, but only after she killed her nemesis for Glenda. So that's just a theory that actually she seems benevolent, but she might be the most wicked one in the entire movie.
Yeah, it reminds us of our spirit guides. Like we could look at her as a higher self too, and the higher self, our own higher self, can in a way play tricks on us too, because it's like we have to like solve the riddles and the rhymes and the tests, and we're kind of like, WTF, like, really? Like we all of us here, as we're going through our transformation, have those moments like, really, God, really, me, really, all of that, like really, like all of that. And it's like, it feels almost like we're being tricked by our own self, or being tricked by, our spirit guides, or being tricked by God itself. And so we experience this through all the transformation too. And eventually we do get to see kind of like how it all played out, that we were like almost like forced on this journey of adversity and things to overcome, but what an adventure we had. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, really, because it's like you look back and go, wow, what an adventure I've had. And then you go back and go, but wow, look at like what I had to do. And like, did it have to be this hard, or did it have to go this way? That makes sense.
Absolutely.
And then there's the whole killing thing, because I was just like, they really are celebrating. I can understand if the witch was harming them or something like that, or oppressing them. I can understand, but they're really celebrating the witch being dead.
Ding dong,
you killed her. I know, right? And that part, you did give me a little bit of a question mark there too. So it is nice that we actually have the thoughts and the questions about who's really good, who's really bad, or is there really a good and bad, or are they both?
Yes.
Do we have compassion for the wicked witch herself, that just because her sister just got, a house dropped on top of her, and so there
Right.
was still love between the two witch sisters. And what happened to them to be outcast, So
Absolutely. I know that backstory. One of these days, we'll have to deconstruct Wicked, but we'll just stick with the
yeah,
Wizard of Oz for now.
we'll do that we'll do that another one. Yeah, I know exactly. And then Oz has
Okay.
his own backstory as well too. So yeah.
The next character we meet on the path is the Scarecrow. What are your thoughts on the Scarecrow?
Interesting to me. So I understand him as sort of a representation of, when the uncle who tells her she's not being smart, he's like, why don't you just not go in front of her house, use your brains, and tells her she's not smart. So then the Scarecrow becomes kind of a internal persona of not being smart, right? So because they've just told her she's not smart, she's not brave, and she's not compassionate. Like, well, then who am I supposed to be, right? And so he comes in. So he's interesting. Now he talks in rhymes and riddles himself a little bit too, like go that way, or you could go that way. Or so he's a little of that as well. But he's also smart, and he tricks the trees. So he's got some trickster energy in him too. And he tricks the trees into throwing the apples so she can get something to eat too.
Right. I like the breakdown that the Scarecrow represents the saboteur energy. The one that sabotages, not even intentionally. We all have a saboteur archetype within us that really comes up when we're about to be successful. And also the imposter syndrome, because he is actually very smart, like you're expressing. He's a very intelligent creature, this Scarecrow. And he actually does know things. He knows how to function. He knows how to navigate this yellow brick road, but he's convinced that he is unintelligent. And it's that's representing the saboteur archetype and his inability to make decisions.
I love that. Could we say that about all three of the helpers, like the Tin Man and this, because they all think they're not what they actually are. I don't have the courage.
The imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Right. I don't have the courage. I don't have the heart. I don't have the bravery too. And so she's like living that out within her psyche of that too. So it's interesting. So, but everybody has that. We all go through that.
Yeah, we do. We all go through it. And the being intelligent, but not being able to access the awareness where you see yourself in that form. Or like the Tin Man, who in my consciousness represents the lover archetype. He wants to be deeply in relation. He wants his heart to beat. He wants to feel with depth, but he can't see that he already is feelings with so much depth the entire movie. And so he also has got the imposter syndrome as well. And same with the Lion. He actually is very courageous, but he can't see it himself, which I think is pointing at her inner masculine and her psyche. If we're deconstructing it all as being part of Dorothy, her inner masculine feels like an imposter. So it's very underdeveloped, which makes sense for a 13-year-old girl to have a very immature inner masculine force, especially with the absence of an actual father, because we were referencing at the beginning that she's an orphan.
Right. So that would make it even worse too.
Yeah.
And they treat her like she's a problem, like, she's a nuisance or a burden, but they actually do care about her. They actually do love her. But at the same time, like she's not given what she needs. But I can understand, they're on a farm, they're busy working, it's a different time period and all that. But how hard it would be to like live in that time period and go through that. It's hard enough to be in this time period, let alone that. Dolores says, I like when the Scarecrow says some people without brains do a lot of talking. That's true. He does say that. That's a smart thing he actually said. Hi, Mike. Good to see you. One of you asked what we're talking about. We're deconstructing the mind of Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, from the perspective that all of the characters she meets when she hits her head are actually parts of her psyche. We are not doing readings on this one, was another question too. The flying monkeys.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should
I
see
I
it.
I go back and look. Went as an adult and looked back at the movie a few years ago, and I thought, how could they show this to children? Like the witch, I'm going to kill you, Dorothy, and the flying monkeys. And I just thought, how did I watch that when I was a little kid? I don't know. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of that with media. It shocks me some of the things that I was allowed to watch when I was a kid. I'm like, what were my parents thinking, or what was any adult thinking that would be like an okay or a healthy thing for me to like engage in, including the
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz. It is frightening. And somebody had mentioned that the trees were scary. I also thought the trees were scary when I was a kid, and the Wicked Witch was scary. And the whole scene when Dorothy goes in to kill the Wicked Witch, that whole scene is quite scary with the oh we oh we
Yeah, I mean, when that was when she was just kind of like at the height of her absolute, anguish too, because she's locked up. It's very dark night of the soul to be like locked up and like we're gonna kill you, and we're just waiting for our time, and then she's just like, oh my god, and her dog, and she's crying and all of that too, and that's kind of when the rescue sort of shows up all at once too. But yeah, even like Snow White. I don't know. I'll digress into Disney movies actually too. Like the huntsman coming at first. I was like, I don't want my kids seeing that scene.
It is a scary
Scary.
scene. It's a very scary scene. Yeah, a lot of these Disney movies, or just like the Brothers Grimm's stories, they were intended to make you fear certain things so that you wouldn't go into the woods, for example, or go with a stranger. Like they were supposed to incite fear in children. So it is interesting to go back and read those as an adult and be like, yeah, that would scare me from going into the woods.
Yeah, it absolutely would. So, oh my goodness. Lorraine is talking about the yellow brick road itself. And I know there's some political connotations to the movie. I don't think we need to go through that right now because it was the Industrial Revolution, but it's like just to focus like on the mind, but the symbolism too of the yellow brick road. What does that mean for you?
I was contemplating, because in the original book, outside of the movie, her shoes are silver and the road is gold, and they're on their way to Emerald City. So it's the journey to prosperity. But when you get to the Emerald City, it's a trick. And so there's a lot to be said about the yellow brick road, and also just the change from silver shoes to ruby shoes. I think that's interesting, and I'm curious about that myself. But yeah, the yellow brick road can be the spiritual path, and following the spiritual path to the heart, the Emerald City, and the shoes that we walk in to arrive there. And if we consider the ruby shoes to be something of like the root chakra, being grounded upon the golden path that leads to the heart.
And it's interesting too, because I was thinking about that in terms of chakras too, and then like the Wicked Witch showed up in the big poof of orange smoke too. And I was like, well, there's that color. But that was like, it was, I don't know, her version of the power too, but it's also, I think too, like her connection, because I think of connection. So it's like she's just lost her sister too. So where would she hold all of her anger would be in that area too, if that makes sense also. So, I mean, we could really pick all of that apart, but it is interesting. And I'm not sure how much of it was intentional when they wrote the book, when they made the film. Like I do believe a lot of the symbols he got from different parts of his like daily life, but at the same time, spirit works in tricky ways of channeling a lot of symbolism and things into things that they may not even realize what they're doing when they're doing it, when they're writing it, when they're making the movie, why they're making decisions to do certain colors and do things in certain ways. And here we are many, many decades later, understanding it in a different way or in a deeper way.
Right. Who knows how much thought he put into the creation of the book and the symbolism and the meaning. But regardless, it's like a channeling. It's at all creation, all songs, all stories are representing our collective consciousness. They're like streaming a message from the collective consciousness. So I perceive that whether it was intentional or not, it's deeply symbolic and deeply meaningful.
Absolutely.
And Return to
Absolutely.
Oz. Yes, horrendously scary. That one is so dark. You're correct about that, Kim Princess.
Is that the same one where I have seen a big one, or is that I'm trying to remember back in but yeah.
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit, so I didn't fully catch what you had said.
That's okay. I'm not sure if that's the same Oz movie that I've watched or not. So I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know, because I'm not sure if it was the same Oz movie or not too. Yeah, I don't think I realized they were silver either. I like that they made a movie. Hi, Heidi. Good to see you. You were in the garden. That's a good place to be too. Let me see. Wow, lots of representations in that movie. I wasn't even aware of how Glinda the Good Witch came in the big orb. It was a channeled movie for certain. Yeah, it was kind of almost like her auric field in a way too, that she came in, but then you could see it, and so they made her all pink and pretty. Dorothy and I go way back. I grew up in Oz, Kansas. Oh, that would be fun to talk to you. Okay. Where should we go next?
I have another character I'd like to discuss.
Yes, please.
Toto.
Tricky Toto.
Toto. I like the theory that Toto is a physical representation of Dorothy's intuition. Because I
like that.
So he gets in the basket and Dorothy's freaking out. And Toto sneaks out and he's like, come on, let's go. And even throughout the path, Toto he's quiet, not up to much, but when he's needed or something is kind of off, Toto like goes running again. And that's why she ends up coming out of the hot air balloon too, was because Toto jumped out. And so then she went after Toto. And then, so if we look at the intuition perspective, the wizard could have saved Dorothy, but that's not what ended up happening. She ended up saving herself. And it was partly Toto or her intuition that was like, you don't need a man to save you, boo. Come on, let's just go click our heels.
I love that. I love that too. And because I think he has been characterized as trickster energy as well too, but I actually like your version much better. That actually feels more in alignment too. And he also pulls back the curtain to say like something's up with this wizard. Like, hey, wait a minute. So I can see, I like that a lot. That feels really good.
And even with Miss Gulch, because she's presenting the dark feminine or the dark goddess or the evil stepmother archetype. And so Toto could also sense that, which is why Toto didn't like her from the very beginning. That created the initial initiation cycle. Toto was the one who was like, there's something off about this lady. I don't like her. Stay away.
Yeah. And it's almost like she's lost all of her heart, for whatever she went through during her lifetime. And then like she's just given up and lost all of her heart too. So that's scary. So Hibby, when the witch kills people and saves their heads and puts them on herself, freaked me. Okay, I don't think I saw that one. So I saw it, Oz movie, but it wasn't that one. That is freaky too. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting darkness that actually emerges from the series of stories. But like we said, we'll stick with the Wizard of Oz that we have here.
I know. It'd be so easy. We can always do a part 2 and a part 3 too. A lot of theories return to Oz as well, especially since the movie starts in a mental institution. Oh boy. Well, yeah, we could go places with that too. I didn't even think I'm never going to watch that one, says Evelyn too. Okay. The entire movie is symbolic. Yes, the head's hiding. Okay. Let's talk about the witch also too, because I know she is Mrs. Gulch in the movie. And what I know we've talked about her a little bit, but what more can we offer about her too? Because it's like she represents like all of the dark fears, all of our subconscious fears and powerlessness. And she doesn't seem like she actually really has all of that much power in the end, because she doesn't seem to try very hard to get what she wants. But
right.
But that, yeah.
So when we're looking at Glenda and the Wicked Witch of the West, again, I want to say it's two sides of the same coin. It's the same archetype, but they've split it into two for representation purposes. So we can look at it as the mother archetype. That's one of the lenses. You could also look at it as the goddess archetype. And so within all of us, within you, Jennifer, within me, I have the capacity for full Wicked Witch of the West. My dark shadow, my dark goddess, my dark feminine, my dark mother, the one that can be cruel, the one that can be demeaning, the one that is not sensitive, the one that is self-serving, the one that is capable of abuse and harm toward others. We all have that archetype within us. But in the movie, it's really played up, even down to the green skin and the way that she's dressed. And then the other side of the coin is the absolute benevolent goddess, or the good mother, or the divine feminine, as many of us would like to interpret her, which is she's a beautiful guide. She's intuitive. She floats around in her auric bubble. She can wave her magic wand and create peace. She's keeping peace in the kingdom in Munchkin land, keeping the Munchkins safe. And the Munchkins rely on her to keep their little kingdom safe from the dark mother or the dark goddess. So if we look at those archetypes as being both within Dorothy, she's actually facing herself, the aspect of herself that has the capacity to be wise, to guide, to teach, to create magic, to be wonderful and nurturing. And she also has this fear side, this shadow side, this side that's gone through extreme loss. So it's interesting that as soon as she gets into Oz, you're witnessing the Wicked Witch of the West experience an extreme loss. And that's not her first extreme loss, as it's shared in the movie. So the mother has become like defective and almost monstrous. So what are your thoughts on each of us having both of those archetypes within us? And it's kind of like, which wolf will you feed? Or which witch will you feed?
Right. And one thing that you sparked my mind is the loss. It's like Dorothy also has the loss because she's lost her parents. She is an orphan too. And so that, potential anger is within her too, that potential darkness of whatever she's experiencing and not been able to actually cope with those emotions would be back in there too, in the back of her mind too. But if we understand, and you probably would word this more eloquently than I do, but as part of the collective consciousness, and it is a bunch of like little puzzle pieces of archetypes that we're all playing out, and we all have opportunities to play out, and we probably will play out at some point in all of them in some way. As soon as we say that's so not me, then we're kind of like disidentifying. We're saying, we're suppressing, we're repressing. And it isn't until we go through our transformation where we understand we are living in this reality that is dual, that is the dark and light, and be able to face the darkness within you, look at the things that you've done and said or thought, and then be able to heal that, embrace that, integrate that, understand that too. And that's how we get back into like a wholeness where we're not just all of these different parts, but maybe we can also allow the parts to still, the energies to work through this in a positive way, so that we're kind of have sort of achieve some mastery over this like play of life that we're in. But we are like a bunch of actors, and we have it all in us. It would be good to do acting, because then you get to play out all your archetypes. And so it would be probably very enriching for the higher self of you, or the soul aspect of you.
Yeah, 100%. So, acting is so interesting, the way you can draw out things that are 100%.
Okay. Linda's saying author Frank Barn was, Frank Barn was influenced by Theosophy. That makes sense. Hence some of the mystical aspects of God.
Thanks,
of
Liz.
Oz God. Well, that was a Freudian slip. Shadow work. Oz God. Shadow work. Everything we see in the witch is in us. Is it not? Yeah, I think that's what we were just alluding to. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I've said this before on many different occasions, but I'll say it again. In order to achieve true benevolence or goodness, and to be able to act it out in an authentic way, we do have to have an awareness of how wicked we can be. Because if I can't see the aspects of me that are wicked or could create harm for people, even if I think, oh, I have the best intentions, I can still misstep and harm people. And when I'm unaware of just how harmful or wicked I have the potential to be, then I'm not actually choosing to be good or benevolent. I'm just kind of in a delusion where I'm like, oh no, I'm the good one. But are you, kind of like we were talking about with Glenda, was she really the good one? Or was she actually creating havoc? So I think, yes, we all have, I guess, what we could call wicked parts within us. Not that we act them out, not that we have to act them out, but the more that we're aware, oh yeah, I'm super capable of stabbing someone in the eye. I don't think I'm actually capable of stabbing someone in the eye, but sometimes I feel like I'd like to stab someone in the eye, if I'm being real. So
Yeah.
just being aware that I have that part, but I choose not to feed it. So yes, I do think we have that lives within us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the more aware we become, then we actually do have more empowerment within our lives to create that authentic goodness that we're really wanting to. So it's not just an idea, but an actual manifestation that we're putting forward. Now we're in Halloween week, and we're all having fun with, all the spookiness, and you go in the Halloween store and there's all kinds of scary things and all kinds of stuff, and people are going to play out from the fun ones to the really gory ones too. But this is almost like this is a time where we're actually giving ourselves permission to allow those energies to kind of flow through us in a way that no one's really judging, if that makes sense. Whereas a different time period, we'd be judging. So we're watching the scary movies, we're wearing the scary costumes and things like that. And if you stop and think about it, there's a glorification of violence in some of these things, or a glorification of darkness in some of these things. Yet those things are in the consciousness, and it's when we say no to it, like no in the sense like that's not me or something like that, that's when it has more power over you. So it's like, at least this is a period where we're allowing some of those energies to have a place in a positive way that's not actually hurting anybody. And then they don't have that same kind of power over you. They're not in the background, like waiting for a moment to come out and do something. And then you go back and go, oh, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to do that. You think about, just look out in society, how many things were done that people didn't actually mean to do, but did.
Right. Absolutely. That I don't know how we got here, but it is interesting. Intention, right? Intention is everything. What is our intention behind a certain action? But the outcome of our actions aren't always predictable. And so sometimes we can do something that we feel is from the best intention, but then the outcome doesn't actually match up with what the intention was. Yeah. I like this question from Lorraine. Do we act out the bad side of us to integrate them? Do you want to answer that first?
We don't intentionally do bad things to people or intentionally cause harm to people, but there are ways that people can play with the energies. Like, for instance, role playing. People can do kind of role playing. People can have fun. It's like, so if you sense that an archetype is that role within like an interaction that you have with somebody, it's like you can turn it into something kind of fun and have more of a playful interaction and a role playing with it. So that way the energies are getting kind of noticed, but they're actually not overpowering you. You're actually using them in kind of a more productive kind of way too. So finding ways to I have different moods that I go through too. And so it's like I'm honoring, like, I feel more playful today. So I'm going to like do this with the way that I'm dressing, or with the coffee cup that I choose, or something like that, because I'm feeling more playful. But then there are some days where I'm feeling more serious too. And so I'm honoring that part of me too, and allowing that to play through. But I'm aware of it. So that's helping. But I do believe that the more we get to know all of our different parts and are aware of them, and then also can see them playing out with the people that we're interacting to, that's how we are kind of integrating. And so that way they're not slipping out and coming and causing, like, what I want to say is collateral damage that we have to go back and clean up too. So what's fun about Halloween is you can pick out a costume and you really could play it up and everyone's going to be like, okay, because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, costume parties would be good for that too. But I know it has been sometimes recommended, like, within your interpersonal relationships and interactions, that if you can actually learn to play with some of those energies and like purposely do a little role play kind of thing with them, then you find a way to work with them in a way. So but we can spot them within ourselves and go, "Ooh, I've got a little bit of this coming in me too. I'm feeling a little," we do our fairy show. We just had our messages from the Enchanted Realms. We call it the fairy show too, right? We're all in our magician, but we're in the happy magician. We're in like in the fun of it too. So we're that's giving us an opportunity to like play out that archetype, but in a fun way and it's actually helping people too. So I'll hand that over to you, Suri.
Beautifully said, Jennifer Rose. And I agree.
Thank you. You're better, but that's okay.
We're equal. For my dark parts, I don't intentionally act them out. Although, of course, in my lifetime, I've been so overwhelmed with a certain emotion that I've said things, right? Like I'm like, wow, that just came out of my mouth. I couldn't help it. I'm so emotional right now. And the older that I get, I have more control and awareness of, okay, something really big is moving through me. I feel rage. And when I'm feeling, for example, extreme rage, it's been a while, but there was something that happened a couple of years ago. It sent me into such deep anger. And I sat and I listened to the wicked part of my mind come up with great comebacks. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had said that. That would have cut like a knife, And some part of me getting a kinky thrill out of the idea that I could hurt that person back for how they hurt me. Or imagining slashing their tires. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I can feel how getting back at them could feel good to a part of me. And I know that it would be temporary though, right? Like I know that the relief that I would feel from harming back someone who harmed me, it would feel like a little bit of a release, but it would only be temporary and probably in my personality followed by tremendous guilt. So I don't act out of that. And sometimes when I listen to the ideas that the wicked parts of me have, I'm like, listen, this is why we don't let you drive the car. Because if you were driving, we would be in jail. So though we honor your perspectives and your desires and we're listening, we're going to go this way though.
I love that too. But so here's the thing. We're spiritual people. And if we have thoughts like that, people think then they go into what I would call more self-loathing for even having a thought like that too, which perpetuates the repression of these parts of us that we never actually get a chance to then heal and integrate so that they don't have, or we're not hearing those kind of thoughts. So a lot of people, when they're going through transformation, dark night of the soul, a lot of dark thoughts about themselves, or that they're almost feeling from like an external kind of voice coming at them, but it's all part of this psychic reality that they're in. And so if I were to have a thought like that too, I would be like, you're mad. I can see it. Okay. You're allowed to be mad. What else do you have to tell me? Like, tell me more. And so it's like, I'm just allowing it to exist, but not actually acting on it or doing anything. But otherwise, like, it's just going to keep picking at you kind of thing. And so it's like, at some point you have to, so like, but I'm fortunate, like you and I are fortunate that we've developed the awareness to spot it and to realize, well, that's not my whole me, or that's just one part of me, And so if you heard that voice, it has something to tell you. And then I would imagine as we start to pick apart, there's another layer behind that, because under that anger is going to be some hurt and some fear. And then we're going to get to the abandonment and the rejection and those like kind of core wounds. And then we're able to bring us back into that state of connectedness again, because ultimately we're playing out connection and disconnection, and then with all of these elaborate roles that we play too, and we want to come back into connection again.
Absolutely. I love what you're saying as well, because shoving those mental parts out because it's not spiritual or it's not good or I shouldn't be having those thoughts, that's how we end up storing certain feelings in our tissues. That's why emotional release is even a thing at all. Because if we cut it off and we say, that's not me, then we don't actually learn to process some of those feelings of anger, rage, deep sadness, abandonment, and then they get stored in our tissues. And sometimes letting the tape run, understanding you're not going to act out any of these things, but letting the tape run, for me personally, it's become like my own internal comedy hour. I'm like, oh, that's diabolical, baby. Like, what else you got in there? Like, ooh,
I
ooh,
know.
ooh.
Diabolical thoughts are so fun.
Right?
Just,
It's
really? Tell me more. Oh my
when
gosh,
you know
really?
you're not going to act on them, especially, you're just like, oh, this is for my pure entertainment only.
but what I have also found though is like once you actually listen and like play with it and all of that stuff too, that then it kind of transforms, and then it's like, oh, there's like something else beyond that too, because the voice is representing the emotion, like you said, the rage, the rage or the hurt, or the anguish over something that's happened, and how that's making you feel disconnected from yourself and from other people, like Dorothy, right? And then that rage has to manifest itself as some kind of voice to get your attention, so that you can look at it and have an interplay or a communication with it too. And so now we begin to touch something that's very deep within us and reconnect it and bring it now into the conscious. Because what was it that Jung said? Until we bring the consciousness, the unconscious to the consciousness, it will rule your life and you will call it fate.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true that all the subconscious material ends up coming forward as projection. And so, and we even call in people to play roles to fulfill our subconscious material. So, and that's what I think is interesting in The Wizard of Oz, right? So, Dorothy's calling forward the Wicked Witch to satisfy something in her subconscious. And she's calling forward Glenda, the Good Witch, to satisfy something in her subconscious. And so her subconscious literally made this entire dream to satisfy her own understanding. And that same thing can occur when we're walking around in our awake life, when our subconscious material projects itself forward. So if you chronically have a boss that abuses or mistreats you, check your subconscious and how your subconscious projects its energy toward authority figures, right? The moment you shift your own subconscious relationship with authority figures, you're suddenly going to find that you have an amazing boss, right? If you keep finding yourself in a similar dynamic with people that you're dating, or like as a woman, if I keep attracting a certain kind of man, that's my subconscious masculine showing up outside of me to be like, hey, I'm still underdeveloped and immature. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to work on my own internal masculine and bring that thing forward into the consciousness so that I can engage with more mature masculine.
And then this big step is, how do we do that, right? The other thing too is that if we also understand things as the soul of us that is wanting to have a human experience, that has much less judgment over the experience itself and wants to have experiences that may be different from what we label as good or bad. And because you've done this through your alchemy with the polarity playing too, is that that can also take some of the power that these experiences have over you too. So like, for instance, in the Existential Kink book by Carolyn Lowell, she explains there may be an unconscious actual desire to have certain experiences too. And that is one of the reasons. So for instance, she brings up a lot of talk about scarcity. Did I say that right? Scarcity or scarcity? I always say it wrong. Okay, I'm trying. I was told I was saying it wrong. Scarcity. So she realized that there was a part of her when she was not doing well financially that was just enjoying the experience of scarcity itself without actual judgment of scarcity, but was enjoying the adventure of scarcity of, almost like, are we going to make it this month? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Bouncing around from house to house. And so when she began to understand that for herself, then all of a sudden it was almost like, well, now it's done. And then she started having more financial abundance after that too. So that kind of came to my mind, as well as we were discussing that if we can understand that there may be a part of us that wants to have some experiences and isn't judging it. And then when we can understand that and give that some fulfillment, or give that at least some acceptance, then maybe the energy shifts, because it's no longer fighting against our personality's will, so to speak.
Yeah. It's not fighting against our personality's will. I really like the way that you said that. I know that state of being, man. Yes, absolutely. Those subconscious desires, those shadow desires, those kinky desires of like, maybe I kind of wanted to feel what it felt like to be mentally abused. Like, who knows?
Yikes. I know. Yikes. And I mean, we don't want to gaslight. We don't want to gaslight people, but it's just we're just putting the thought out there. And then sometimes when we can see that there's a creationary aspect within us that may have altruistic purposes in the end, and then just give that some honor, then it's just, it has less, it can't control us as much, because now we're not, doing this. It's all in the denial. Jeffrey had a comment too I wanted to put
okay, Jeffrey.
So look where our conversation went. Okay, Mr. Jeffrey, where'd you go, my friend? Okay. It may be that we are hardwired for many things, but with awareness, we can override that hard wiring.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
And yeah. Lorraine has a question about dreams. Since she used to remember her dreams, but since her brother's passing in 2020, she can't remember. Is there a block or nothing to worry about?
I read that earlier, and I want to say that I intuitively right away, I was like, there's no block whatsoever. But you may need to reconnect the bridge between the waking world and the subconscious world. And one of the easiest ways to do that is right when you wake up, just start writing. Like, have a journal next to your bed. Wake up, first thing you do in the morning is fill a couple of pages. Even if it's nonsensical, doesn't have to be full sentences, just start writing. It helps to keep the bridge between the conscious and the subconscious awake and aware, so that you can bring the subconscious dream material forward into the waking world. So there's no block.
I felt the same thing. I didn't feel like there was a block either too. And I feel like the dreams will come back for you too, especially since you're now questioning them and you're like wanting them to return, and they can go in and out. Some people have a lot of them and some people don't. So I mean, we all dream, but the ones that we actually remember that feel very significant and symbolic too. And is whenever you're going into another stage of awakening, they'll start heightening up for you as well too. We'll bring it all back into Dorothy.
Okay. I wanted to jump to the end of the movie. You want to jump with me?
Okay. Yes, let's jump.
So coming back to this theory that we've got the subconscious masculine of Dorothy is represented by the scarecrow, the tin man, and the lion. So what Dorothy is expressing through this dream is that her internal masculine isn't smart. It can't think, it can't make decisions. Even though that's not true, the imposter, it's actually the scarecrow is very smart. And then with the tin man, it's an underdeveloped lover. I want to love, I want to feel, I want to connect. And it's actually doing it the whole time, but it can't see it itself. As well as with the lion, he is actually very courageous. The lion's got a lot of like orphan feelings too, like victim mentality. That lion is such a victim, standing there crying with his tail, like, right? And he actually is incredibly courageous. Now, something interesting that happens at the end of the movie, after the wizard is revealed, he comes out and an external force mirrors to each of these characters that they always had it. And this is almost like a masculine initiation. This person, this trickster, this magician, with some kind of assumed superior wisdom is essentially saying, through this hero's journey, you have displayed that you're intelligent. Here's your brain. Through this hero's journey, you have displayed that you have a heart. Here's your heart. Through this hero's journey, you have displayed that you have courage. Here's your courage. And it's the evolution of Dorothy's own internal masculine also evolving. Something I think is interesting is that Dorothy's supposed to be 12, 13. So she's right at that pubescent period of time, which I think is interesting to show the feminine, dark and light side, and then these different aspects of her internal masculine, all going through an initiation throughout the process of the movie. And I'll get to that in a second. Go ahead. You got anything on that topic?
I know, I love all of that too, and it's taking me off until all these other places where I would love to go. It's reminding me about your interview that you did with Kyle and how he's helping the men to initiate to become more integrated and individuated too. But what you're also saying is we have our us ladies also have our own inner masculine that can be underdeveloped too. So now I'm starting to think of all the possibilities as us women begin to integrate our masculine, and then the males begin to integrate their own masculine and feminine as well too, like what the possibilities would be like and how much connection we would have, which leads me to that it is up to us to do this work so that we can achieve this kind of homecoming that we're all wanting.
Absolutely. Because it's through and then what I also love about the end, so this external masculine force, the wizard, because of his acknowledgement to the three other men, then they can accept themselves as having those qualities. When it's offered to Dorothy to go in the balloon home, what I love is that it didn't happen that way. Because if it had, Dorothy would have never realized her own power to take herself home. So I love that Toto was like, no, it doesn't go down this way. Yes, congratulations, your inner masculine just got initiated. That's cool. But you're a priestess and you're going to take yourself home. And you're going to realize that you have the power to do so the entire time, even though you were playing a little bit of the imposter syndrome and the innocent damsel and being like, oh no, I need help. Turns out she could do it the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, she had to go through a lot, the dark, scary forest. It reminds me so much of my dark night of the souls I have. It's, a feeling like my own ego was going through a dark, scary forest and trying to give that part of me comfort and facing the darkness coming at you too. And it's so I get it. I do get it. And so I do love how you've outlined that as well, because I think some people could look at it as, oh no, she didn't make it, but then she did make it too. And I know in our spiritual community, we've used that line, like you've always had it, my dear. I think someone wrote it here in the comments too, that we do discover our own power through this process too. And their shoes are very much like when we're on this journey too, we need help because people don't see what they can do. I think of healing too, and when people learn how to do healing, they're trying to follow a structure and a format because that's given them tools to actually believe what they're doing is working. And then after a while, they may not feel like they need the red shoes anymore. They don't need all of the structure. They realize the healing is happening, whether they're doing this or not doing this too, because they can feel it and they believe in themselves as connected to spirit too. So we're all on this journey. I'd love to say that we arrive, but I think there's always going to be more. We're always going to keep arriving at more. So it's just buckle up, buttercup.
Forever going onion.
Yeah, that is for sure too. In the last few minutes that we have, what could you give some recommendations for how we actually could integrate these parts, the feeling of home coming in, the integration of the masculine and the feminine together within us, but then maybe also in around us too. How can we what can we do now that we've like seen that all of these archetypes that were in Dorothy's dream are also within our own minds in just different, different forms. What do we do with them?
What do we do with them? Well, I think it's important to get to see yourself in this complex way. We could even say that this is a multidimensional perspective, because each character is their own dimensional perspective, right? But all of those characters are existing in one psyche. So it's actually a doorway into our multidimensionality. So accepting that we are multifaceted and multidimensional is step number one. And then realizing that different situations in our lives are going to pull out or call out a different character that exists within us. For example, all of us have a protector inside, an aspect of us that's going to come up and do whatever is required to keep us safe, even if we're not actually in danger. And it's great to know how your protective mechanisms work. That's a part of your multidimensionality. And when they pop up, what do they feel like? What parts of my body respond to this stimuli? What kind of thoughts start going when I'm in protective mode? Okay, this persona is this aspect of me. Likewise, there's an aspect of us for me, I've got a lot of that. I feel a lot of Glenda energy where I'm like, hello, how can I help you? How can I serve you? Like, let me guide you gently, right? And that aspect of me, what does she think? What kind of energy do I feel in my body? What feelings go with that persona within me? What kind of external circumstances elicit that part from me? And becoming aware that we're actually always kind of switching roles. For people who go to work and then come home, I guarantee you that the person that you are in the office or in the workplace is not the same person that you use to relate to your spouse or to your children or to your best friend. So it's just noticing that the external world is going to call forward different parts of you to achieve or fulfill different roles that you're being asked to play in a daily basis. Notice the shifts, notice the movement, notice how your thoughts change when you're playing these different roles. And then to the best of your ability, allow them all to coexist. There we go. That's what I have to say.
That's beautifully said too. So we have many costumes. We have our core personality, but then we have many costumes. And that also includes what I've called costumes of protection too. And those may be a little less mature. They tend to be like rebellious teenagers, but they have a purpose too. So it's using them as an ally to help you grow versus in a way that will actually make your life harder too. So it's the awareness that all of that is playing out. So I feel like if anything, we've opened a door to awareness that we have so many parts and we are always shifting. And then just to realize it, and then we can actually learn to play with it a little bit in like a fun way too, and then to get to know ourselves better too. And like you said, allow them to coexist. So having conversations with yourself. So I have quiet time within me where I'm just literally in my internal dialogue and I'm listening to what's happening, and then I'm like, what does that part of me need? And I have to take the time to do that, or my anxiety levels will start to go up on, because then I'm not listening. It's almost like someone pulling on the apron strings kind of thing.
For
too.
sure.
So yeah. So we're all on our hero's journey, only to figure out we were that all along.
We were home the whole time. We never left.
And this is why I call it the marvelous absurdity.
We're sitting at home now.
It's just the marvelous absurdity of this reality. So, all right. We have deconstructed and I think reconstructed Dorothy now.
Yes.
God bless her. We've left her all in one piece.
Oh God. And if you guys feel so inclined, put in the comments or message me later. Do you think Glenda was really the good witch?
I know that is an interesting one. I like that because you can. we all see her as like you said, the benevolent, the spirit guide, the higher self of her too. But then she's like, yeah, she plays a few little tricks on her too, you
He's
know, and
got a
only
little
comes
trickster energy.
and she only comes in to help once in a while, like in the poppy field. She comes to
Yeah.
help in the poppy. Like that's about it.
Yep.
It's
Very
like,
interesting.
so I like that. I like that. But what was it? Debbie Ford, I think it was, wrote The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. I don't know if you're
Mm,
familiar with that book too.
no.
And so it's like it's a book about shadow work too. And it's like, so when we get into like the love and light of us and we haven't integrated the dark, we are really kind of putting on a character role, but we're not paying attention to what's going on inside. And so that's why I could see what she's saying, because if you're not paying attention, like, well, what's going on in your mind? What kind of dark thoughts are like hanging around in the background there that you haven't looked at too? So it's like,
Mhm.
we have to do that if you really want to truly be kind of in that place of, we have to realize that, so we have compassion for everything and everyone too, but we don't have to be perfect every day either. So it's okay. It's
No,
okay to be human.
we can be
So
very flawed. It's okay.
it's okay. It's all okay. We're all on this journey together. So, well,
Mhm.
thank you so much, Suri, for your expertise and wisdom too. You're the best person I could think of to have this journey with me too. And I've been really excited too, because it was just like that one time I was just like, what if they're all just parts of her mind, you know? And then I was like, oh, and then I realized that just took me to another level. So thanks for helping us to like break that down too. Um,
Mhm.
all of our beautiful friends here, I'll be back on Embracing Infinity this Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. in the UK because of the time change, with Judith Miller, physical medium, doing a physical medium demonstration on Halloween. Will be a lot of fun. Please stay tuned for the psychic hour. It's in just about 45 minutes with Miss Kelly Brickle. And also tomorrow will be guided by Grace in the later part of the evening as well too. So a lot more fun shows with you, all to join into this week. And so looking forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you again, Miss Suri Sawyer, my goddess, my friend, my love. I appreciate that too. Her website is here on the bottom, womenbealive.com, and you can follow her on Facebook at Suri Sawyer and on Instagram at Women Be Alive as well. And I do believe you have a YouTube channel as well.
I do have a YouTube channel. It's mostly just these shows. So that's also Suri Sawyer. And I updated my Instagram. I'm Suri Sawyer there as well.
Oh, okay,
Suri.Sawyer.
okay.
You can find me
Okay,
there.
beautiful. So I'll get that
Yeah.
updated as well too. So thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Kelly Brickle, for taking care of us. And we will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody. Happy Halloween.